I want to talk to you about the God who carries you on his shoulders. I've had a lot of practice at carrying things. I spent most of my 20s as a professional drummer, and drummers have to carry a lot of stuff. I've carried drums in and out of cars, in and out of vans, in and out of coaches. I've carried drums all the way up flights of stairs, and then I've carried drums all the way back down flights of stairs. I once even had to carry a whole drum kit on my back across London on the Underground. I think I might still have marks on my shoulders from that day. Each of us is carrying a lot on our shoulders at the moment. The weight of all that's built up over this past year, the anxieties of living in a pandemic, the overwhelming nature of managing everything from home, our work, our relationships, homeschooling. Maybe you've been ill or exhausted or unable to sleep because of the burdens of all that's been going on. But I think we're also carrying the weight of what is to come. When will this be over? When will lockdown end? When will I be able to hug my family and friends? What are you carrying on your shoulders today? Now more than ever, we need someone who can shoulder the burden, someone who can get under, pick up, and carry our multiple responsibilities for us. The prophet Isaiah tells us in Isaiah chapter 9, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." You may have heard these words over Christmas about the birth of the baby Jesus. But now that Christmas is over, what can we expect of Jesus in this year ahead? Well, this tells us that we can expect that the government is on his shoulders, the responsibility to govern, to hold all our troubles and our struggles rests on his shoulders. I think shoulders represent two things. First of all, power. It's a shoulder that you might use to push a car to get it started. It's a shoulder you might use to barge down a door in a crisis. But shoulders also represent humility and service. If someone's in danger, if they're in need of rescuing, a firefighter might pick them up, lay them on their shoulder, and carry them to safety. If a small child gets tired, you might pick them up and rest them on your shoulders, serving them with your strength. The weight of the world rests on the powerful and humble shoulders of Jesus. This past year has weighed on each of us in many different ways, but I think it's the relentless nature of every event, every change that has piled up the burdens. For us in February, my wife was ill for 3 weeks with COVID. Then in March, we attempted and I completely failed at homeschooling. Then in April, my grandmother died of COVID-related causes. And then in May, we found out that we needed to move house in the middle of this pandemic. I know that many of you have been through so much more, but as each of those events weighed on me, I began to feel lost, to feel, how do I keep going through this? In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus tells a story about a shepherd who had 100 sheep but lost one of them. He says this, "Does he not leave the 99 and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders." It's when we're at our most lost, our most weary, our most burdened, that Jesus finds us. And if we let him, he carries us on his shoulders. The prophet Isaiah gave Jesus 4 names. He said that he is the mighty God, the fullness of God, with all the strength of God? Are you feeling weak? You can rest your head and your every burden on the mighty shoulders of Jesus. He's also the everlasting Father who loves us. Maybe you're feeling alone. He can wrap his powerful and loving arms around you and sustain you by that love. Jesus is the wonderful counselor who desires to serve you with all of heaven's wisdom and guide you through each day. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, but if you talk to him, he understands and can guide you through. And Jesus is the Prince of Peace, the one who grew up in order that he might carry a cross on his shoulders, experiencing the total absence of peace on that cross, so that he could give you and I the gift of eternal peace. Maybe life feels a bit chaotic. The Prince of Peace longs to fill us with peace. In November 1982, I was born 6 weeks prematurely, and my mother tells me that as I was lying, yet to be named, incubated with doctors fighting for my life, my parents remembered a verse they'd read in the book of Deuteronomy, where Moses prays a prayer of blessing over each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And of the tribe of Benjamin, which is my full name, he says this: "The high God surrounds him all day long and dwells between his shoulders." When naming me Benjamin, my parents wanted me to remember throughout my life that my life rests on God's shoulders, that my every burden and responsibility lies with him. You can give Jesus every burden. He is strong enough to carry the weight of your world. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. Amen.